So I'm wearing a dress today that makes me sway because the soap that we're making today is called Sway. That's it. That's all I have to say on that subject. So let's go to the video. No, we don't go to the video yet. You go to the intro. And before we do that, I say hello. I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. Look at me messing up my format like a crazy person. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And today is day 172 of 365 days of soap, and we are making Sway. This particular soap is awesome, and it is fashioned after Dean Martin. So we are continuing on in the Rat Pack theme line thing and starting Dean's box. Now, I love everything there is about this soap, the oils that go into it, the extra sugar boost, the colors, and most definitely the scent. Now, this is an apple and maple bourbon blend for this soap, and I am going to tell you why that is. But you may already know, depending on how big of a Rat Pack fan or Dean Martin fan that you are, this was new information that I found out. And so we're going to go to the video and talk about the cool pour that we did, why it's scented the way that it is, and all of the things. So let's go do it. So today's bar is Dean Martin's bar, which is very exciting because Dean Martin is cool. And it's named Sway because Dean Martin song, and it's good. Yep. All the things. And for this bar, I am using those beautiful 3 colors for a version of a one pot wonder soap. Now, one pot wonders can be any number of things. I mean, of late, they have come to mean, you know, like a cool in the pot swirl type thing. And this one isn't exactly that. It's more of an ombre. And for the lye solution, I didn't do anything special with this one except I put sugar into the lye solution. And so there's about 2 ounces of sugar in this solution to, you know, increase the lather and just the funness of the things. And again, all the thing. But the real reason I'm putting, yep, it's separating. You're not done. Keep going. The reason I'm putting the sugar in is actually to drive home the scent blend, because the scent blend is this apple maple bourbon blend, and I love it because it's definitely more apples and maple than it is bourbon. Just a very light, you know, nod to the bourbon and heavy on the apples and the maple. And the reason for that is because Dean Martin actually, like, he had his heyday where he was doing the things and, you know, drinking and having fun with all of the, you know, standard debauchery of the Rat Pack and all of that jazz, the things that we, you know, love them for or whatever. But he hit a point pretty early on where he kind of stopped doing any drinking whatsoever, right? And so whenever he was on stage or whatever, he would always have a drink in his hand, but it would always be apple juice. And so I really wanted to play up the whole apple thing with his bar, both in the smell, but also in the actual design. And so there's sugar in the lye water to, you know, for the maple bit, because I didn't actually have any maple syrup at the shop to put maple in to drive it home. But the ultimate scent blend when you do this, because the apple, it's a very nice honey crisp apple, and then the maple has some warmth to it, but then with the bourbon, it really does level all of that out. Oh look, see how the scent blend is turning it blue? That's super, and it continues to do so. Yeah, so that is actually very, very cool. With the scent turning the batter colors temporarily, and it has been known to freak soapers out, but it is very temporary. It's already gone. See? All right, on to the pour with this. Now we are doing a transitional ombre with this, and so, or a gradient. I don't, you know, for the number of times that I've had this exact same conflict, I sure have never bothered to actually look up like the definition of a gradient and an ombre. Not like in soap, because so many things that we call things in soap make no sense. But just in, like, you know, art, I guess. So I don't exactly know what we're doing, but it is changing in color from one color on the bottom, the yellow, up to a red at the top, meant to mimic like the outside of an apple, but not like a big red delicious apple, more like a Honeycrisp apple. So I don't want it to be super over the top with all the colors. And so to achieve this ombre gradient thing, Georgia May, please help me, please. I'm just going to be adding a little bit of color to the entire pot after each pass. Now we've done this a couple other times. We did an orange mimosa one. We did the lemon drop. Georgia May has done her ombres, gradients with her sunrise sunset. So there are a lot of different things that you know that you can do with a pour like this, and I think they are all stunning in their own way. You can just do one color that's, you know, just gets gradually darker or lighter to that, or you can do what I am doing with this one and moving from a yellow to a red when it is all done. Now, the reason I have all three of those micas out is because I sort of envisioned that I was going to do the yellow, and again, just adding a little bit of color to the pot before each pass with the into the mold, and continuing on. But I planned on actually putting an orange down as well. So actually make the proper transition from yellow to orange to red using all three of those micas. But then as I was pouring, I texted Georgia May and I'm like, can I get from yellow to red without using an orange? And she's like, yes, you can, and like gave me all of this information about it. And so I went, cool, that's one less container that I have to open. And so instead of using the orange, I moved right on to the red, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. This is a Merlot mica, and we're just going to do the exact same thing that we did with the other. We're just going to add a little bit of the red into the pot and pour and continue on. Now, I added a little bit of extra oil into that. This particular recipe is a 60-40 split of liquid to solid oils, and it has about an 8% superfat, which is one of the reasons why I used the sugar as well, to sort of up the lather with a reasonably high superfat, for me anyway. And that superfat is in the mica containers, right, into the beakers. And so that's where I essentially put the superfat for the whole thing. And so therefore, adding more oil into the thing was expected, and I knew I was going to be doing it. And usually I have everything already measured out into their own little separate containers or whatever, but really dialing down on the whole, you know, idea and theme of a one pot wonder, I thought it would be weird to have all of my micas individually, you know, portioned out and ready to go in their own separate beakers, because, you know, one pot wonder. So one thing for color, one thing for your bucket, and yeah, do the thing. Now, again, with this design, we were not, my goal is not to do like a red delicious in your face super red, you know, bar of soap, because I don't really know how well that would actually go over in a, you know, men's gift set and a men's grooming set, one, and two, I hate red delicious apples, like with every fiber of my being. I hate them. I do not like them, but I love Honeycrisp. And so I thought it should mimic like the outside of a Honeycrisp apple because I like Honeycrisp better, really. And it was super weird moving up to the Pacific Northwest because the reason I hate red delicious apples is because I grew up in Colorado, and not just anywhere in Colorado. I grew up in a high mountain desert valley thing in Colorado. So super cold, super removed from like civilization. Like the closest real town was several hours away. And our produce selection, particularly in the winter, was pretty sparse, right? You didn't have a lot in the way of fruits and veg. You had your stock standard stuff. Always had carrots, always had broccoli, always had red delicious apples. Like that was it. And when the fruit of the summer produce would come in, it was a big deal. And then I moved to Pacific Northwest where it's apple country here. And so one day the girls and I actually had like an apple party because there's all these different types of apples up here, things that I had never even heard of like ever. And so we picked up apples, like every different type of apple. It was at the grocery store and this was during apple season, so there were a lot. And we had an apple party and we cut them all up and wrote little cards, and we had testing and tasting notes to find our favorite apple. And mine ended up being a cross between a Jazz apple and a Honeycrisp. So that was one of those were my favorites. And the girls had, I mean, they changed their mind after every apple that they ate. Actually, no, this one's my favorite. This one's awesome. The pink lady is great. And so it was just a fun time. And, you know, apples. And now that I think about that, maybe I should have done an apple for the Washington State Bar instead of the Mount Rainier. That's okay though, because the Mount Rainier soap was so much fun to make. And if I had made the Washington soap, the apple soap, I wouldn't have been able to do apples for Dean Martin, and that would be sad because, you know, apples, apple juice. He totally pretended to drink, but he wasn't doing it. He was into apple juice. That's cool and like tricky. I don't know. I found that fascinating. I really did when I was looking up all the stuff about the Rat Pack, because obviously I know the Rat Pack based on the things that they have done, right? So their music and their movies and all of the things. But I didn't know tons of background information on them. And so I got to look all this stuff up to make sure that the, you know, sets and everything were themed correctly and were in line with the kind of people that, you know, all of these men were. And that was the most memorable bit of information that I got from all my research, really. I thought that was very interesting because I did not know that. Of course, my parents totally knew that. Like, I was talking to my parents about this, and my dad was like, did you know that well, actually, my mom was quizzing him. Well, what did Dean Martin drink? And immediately my dad was like, apple juice. Like, they just knew. I didn't know. And so I found that, you know, very cool. And so it was very fitting that Dean Martin's, you know, soap became an apple blend with an apple theme and all of the things. And you see how beautiful, as I've just been gabbing about apples and how cool I apparently think they are, how beautiful that went from the big bright yellow at the bottom to a very cool, you know, reddish orange at the top. And it's kind of cool. I'm very excited to see what we have going on inside of it. So this is going to get C-popped. I am going to cover it and put it in the oven overnight to make sure that all the big beautiful colors stay big and beautiful and allow me to cut it a little faster and speed up that saponification process, get it through gel, all of those things. And yes, I am very excited to cut this one, so let's go check that out. So we are on to the cut, and we do have a little bit of seepage going on from the sugar and some interesting kind of stearic acid spots on the outside. But those are all going to, you know, be trimmed up without any problems whatsoever. The rest of the bar looks really cool. I'm super excited about this. Now, one of the reasons I have these stearic acid spots there is because I soaked this very low to ensure I had lots of fluidity throughout the entirety of the pour, because I'm doing, it's not just a dump, it's a, you know, little bit here, little bit there, continuing to move the batter and whatever. And so I wanted to make sure that everything stayed very fluid. And that is beautiful. Oh my God. I love that. That's so pretty. I really do love pours like this. They're satisfying to do. I mean, they really are. To watch the color just gradually go from one to the next, and the sort of rhythm that you create with the mixing in a little bit more, stirring it up, doing your pour back and forth, mix it a little bit more, stirring it up, on and on. It's great. Like, it's a very enjoyable soaping experience for me. Now, other, you know, people, they probably really enjoy doing things like, I don't know, I'm sure somebody enjoys doing layers out there. That somebody is not me, but I'm sure someone does. Like, you find your sort of zen soaping experience in all manner of things. But for me, it's definitely this, which is really interesting because I don't know even what it's called. Again, is it ombre or is it gradient? What is the thing? What's the right answer here? I guess it doesn't matter because the end result is stunning. So that should just be the technique. It's just the stunning technique. And that is day 172 Dean Martin's bar, the Sway, scented with apple, maple, bourbon, and it is so gorgeous.
The outside of that totally looks like the outside of an apple, like apple skin with the, like a Honeycrisp apple. You know, well, not like the Red Delicious. Those things suck. And yeah, no, everything about that pour was actually a lot of fun. These are one of my most favorite types of pours to do because it is a very cathartic experience for me. I actually do feel an emotional release as I am pouring a soap like this. I feel the stress melt away. I feel my shoulders drop. I feel my breathing regulate. It is a very good pour for me. And I'm sure other soapers have those experiences with other types of bars. I'm sure that that happens. Like maybe someone likes layers. I don't. I like this and it makes me super happy. The end result of this was absolutely stunning. And again, that scent blend is just out of the park fantastic. So I'm really happy with the way that this blend turned out because again, for these blends, they're going to go into each of the Dean products in some way. And I love that. I think the scent is just perfectly Dean Martin. And so yeah, we're rolling with that. Now, if you are interested in the Sway soap, you actually can find it on the website starting today. So all of the grooming kits are now loaded onto the site. So yeah, we have the Frank Sinatra, we have the Humphrey Bogart, we have the Sammy Davis Jr., and now we have the Dean Martin. They're definitely great gift ideas for, you know, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, just because. And we will be running a sub box with these products very, very soon. We will definitely be on the lookout for that because the products that you end up loving from this, you know, set, you can totally pick up on a monthly thing and don't even have to think about it. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. I super appreciate it. I hope you guys had as much fun with the Rat Pack thing that we did this week as I did. It was a really great time designing all of the things and figuring out, you know, what formulations are going to be best for men. And it was about time that I did it for, you know, the shaving grooming kits, because I've had the beard kits in the line for such a long time and I put a ton of work into that as well. Those things were over a year in development. And after that, I got kind of tired and I'm like, I don't want to whatever. And so I'm glad that we have the shaver grooming kits available now, and I think the themes around them are absolutely cool. So again, hope you had a good time. Thank you so much for joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. You're super awesome, and I will see you guys all again tomorrow, where we will not be making a Rat Pack themed product. We're all done. Bye.